Perfect World Episode 221. The Guardian lineage isn't extinct. An ancient monster from the exotic region reveals their secret ancestral home, a place beyond the 9 heavens. But the price for this knowledge is betrayal, and the release of an even greater horror. One genius with 3 strands of immortal energy has already been cut in half.
Now, the monster de Manquingies blood, and Xiao steps forward to say, I am the one who will slay you.
Do you know what the red-haired monster told Dugu Yun about the birthplace of the Guardian lineage, and what kind of place it is? Continuing from the last episode, after Dugu Yun communicated with the red-haired monster inside the stone wall, powerful experts from the Celestial Deity Academy and the Immortal Abyss stepped forward to question his identity. His actions were bizarre, as it appeared he was attempting to break the seal and release the monster from the stone wall. Qingyi frowned deeply, trying to resonate with the Qingwei Yen to discern what the two were discussing. Meanwhile, She Hao asked Mo Dao if he could understand their language. Mo Dao, though reluctant, replied, "This is the language from the other shore of the world." He added, "Although I can't understand exactly what they're saying, I can confirm that this is the language of the most ancient Imperial clan of the exotic region." Upon hearing this, everyone was utterly shocked. The young Supremes who had cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy were particularly alarmed and closed in, preparing to suppress Dugu Yun once more. According to Mo Dao, only the ancient Imperial clan of the exotic region could understand this language. This implied it was the language of the undying, the true words of the great Dao, capable of forming powerful incantations that could help the red-haired monster escape its predicament. Soon after, Zhixian attacked decisively. A true phoenix, wreathed in surging flames, emerged behind him and charged straight at Dugu Yun. In response, Dugu Yun's entire body turned golden, his blood qi seething and gradually forming a vague figure resembling an invincible god of war. This figure clashed with Zhixian's true phoenix. The impact produced a deafening roar, causing the heavens and earth to collapse and the void to shatter violently. The surrounding young Supremes were forced to retreat, fearing they would be caught in the aftermath. Next, the Stone Crown King made his move, wielding a seedling of the World Tree and sweeping it towards the red-haired monster in the stone wall. However, a deafening lion's roar suddenly echoed from within the wall, causing the runes on its surface to grow even more brilliant. As the golden blood completely filled the stone carvings, the stone gate became nearly transparent. Someone exclaimed, "The seal is broken.
The creature inside is coming out."
Sure enough, as various runes materialized on the stone gate to block the attack from the Stone Crown King's World Tree seedling, a creature exuding a primordial aura stepped out from within. It coldly scanned everyone present. Seeing this, Zhixian and the Stone Crown King retreated a few steps, abandoning any attempt to stop it. It was too late, they could only wait and see what the red-haired creature and Dugu Yun planned to do. Dugu Yun spoke with a grave expression, uttering Gu Luo Mosi, before roaring loudly, as if he were about to turn hostile. However, the creature's tone remained incredibly firm as it continued the dialogue. The onlookers were completely confused, wondering what on earth they were saying. Some tried to capture the words with their divine sense but failed, a few even suffered a backlash, with blood dripping from their foreheads. Just then, Qingyi opened her eyes and announced, "I think I understood some of it. Dugu Yun is asking the red-haired monster about the ancestral home of their guardian lineage and how to get there." Everyone was stunned by this revelation. They wondered, hadn't the guardian lineage gone extinct long ago? Could there truly be another location, an ancestral home? According to Qingyi's subsequent explanation, they learned that at the birthplace of the guardian lineage, some members apparently still lived on eternal. However, these beings do not belong to the 9 heavens and 10 earths. After learning this, everyone's scalps tingled with dread. A portion of the people who left that clan back then became the guardians of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. If the rest of the people from the birthplace were to come over, how terrifying would their strength be? However, some people made other connections. They recalled that the guardian lineage's golden blood could turn black, suggesting their birthplace might hold too many unknown secrets. Furthermore, people had also heard that Dugu Yun went to the Paichu Valley mine to investigate something, after which a large amount of black blood had surged out of the mine. This was enough to show that there was something strange about Dugu Yun and this red-haired monster. What puzzled everyone, however, was the creature covered in red hair. They wondered just how powerful it was and if they could contend with it. Meanwhile, the red-haired creature responded fiercely, speaking in its ancient tongue, a 2-to-1. Clearly, his conversation with Dugu Yun was domineering and aggressive, and he had no fear of anyone present. However, what put everyone at ease was that although the creature was powerful, its cultivation realm wasn't necessarily much higher than their own. Then Dugu Yun glared resentfully, saying, "Le Duo 11. Sure Hao once again asked Mo Dao what exactly they were arguing about. However, Mo Dao still shook his head, indicating he couldn't understand the ancient tongue. But Qingyi, through the Qingyue Yen, once again explained, they are discussing a place. According to the red-haired monster, Dugu Yun and his guardian lineage all came from that birthplace. But they have all been tainted by the aura of the mortal world and can never return. She continued, furthermore, the red-haired monster was unwilling to reveal the mysterious ancient land that is the birthplace of the guardian lineage, fearing that Dugu Yun's search would cause unnecessary trouble. Because in that place, not only are there beings of the golden bloodline, but also other terrifying clans.
Generally, they never step foot into the mortal world.
But should they ever return, the consequences will be extremely severe. Therefore, the red-haired monster didn't want to cause extra trouble, which is why the two of them started arguing. However, Dugu Yun clearly didn't agree. He wants to find that ancient path to return to the pure land where his ancestors lived, and thus make his golden blood become more concentrated and powerful. Then Dugu Yun roared again, "The Imperial clan from the other shore of the world once promised me that if I found you, I would be able to find the path to my ancestral land. But why do you refuse?" This time, Dugu Yun shouted in the language of the 9 heavens and 10 earths and grabbed a handful of the red-haired creature's chest hair.
The red monster roared, "Audare yule a ondomme."
He no longer used the ancient language but spoke through divine sense, because the matter no longer involved secrets. Then, the two of them erupted with astonishing runes and began a most ferocious battle. With a deafening roar, the void shattered, and chaotic mist filled the air. The two were both sent flying. But even so, they continued to fight. A battle spear appeared in each of their hands. Sparks flew as the two weapons collided, and the divine echoes of the great Tao they unleashed formed ripples, causing the onlookers to suffer a severe impact. The young Supremes who had cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy were fine, as they had the means to protect themselves. But it was different for those who had cultivated 1 or 2 strands of immortal energy. They were shaken until blood trickled from the corners of their mouths, and their bodies were forced back continuously. When the two once again pulled apart, Dugu Yun, holding the sky halberd, pointed it at his opponent with a cold-killing intent. But the red-haired monster appeared extremely calm. The moment he landed, he raised his hand and restrained 3 of the observing cultivators. Then, from a distance, he simultaneously reached for the crowns of their heads. In almost an instant, the bodies of the 3 captured cultivators rapidly withered, becoming shriveled corpses. The red-haired monster, however, showed a look of utter ecstasy. After absorbing the 3 torrents of life essence, he seemed extremely refreshed. Many of the onlookers who saw this felt their scalps tingle with fear, while some roared in anger. The red-haired creature, however, didn't care at all. As its body trembled, dazzling substances fell from its red fur, emanating a sacred aura. It was like some kind of solidified fluid that seemed to have sealed the creature in the past. Mo Dao secretly transmitted a message to Shi Hao, explaining, "That is the fluid refined by the Undying. It can seal all living beings in the world, allowing them to exist for eternity." He added, "I think I've already guessed. This red-haired monster is from the exotic region, a descendant of some ancient Imperial clan. Their clan was likely sealed here." Shi Hao's heart trembled upon hearing this. He then asked Mo Dao what else he knew. Mo Dao replied, "There should be a seed here. This clan emerged, likely for it. That seed is known as the Heavenly Seed. Even a great undying figure once had regrets over it." Shi Hao was shocked to hear this news. He realized that the legendary 5-demon Be Heavenly Seed was not just an empty rumor. There might really be a strange seed here, one that even the Undying of the exotic region could never forget. However, this also meant that the red-haired monster before them was definitely not alone. Inside the stone wall, there were probably even more powerful elders who had not yet escaped. Soon, the red-haired monster waved the battle spear in its hand and charged towards Dugu Yun, wreathed in chaotic light. Dugu Yun, naturally, was not to be outdone and met the charge with his war halberd. The clash between them was like small metal mountains smashing together, making the place resound with deafening noise as the heavens and earth seemed to crack apart. A dazzling light filled every inch of space, making one's very soul tremble. It was a world-shaking battle, the two were evenly matched, and it was difficult to determine a winner. Then, the red-haired monster shouted, "Do you really want to step through that realm gate and return to the ancestral land? But do you know that other clans also live there? They will not let you pass through the realm gate. Once they find you, they will surely obliterate you completely." However, Dugu Yun didn't care in the slightest and indicated that he would go no matter what. Seeing Dugu Yun so determined, the red-haired monster pointed to the stone gate and said, "Very well.
I will give you a chance.
Release my ancestor, and I will tell you the path back to the ancestral land." Qingyi immediately translated his words, informing everyone present. After hearing this, their hearts could no longer remain calm, and they all glared furiously at the red-haired monster. Some couldn't help but shout angrily, "How arrogant! To say such a thing in front of all of us.
Are you looking down on us?"
In response, the red-haired monster raised its hand, which transformed into a dragon's claw, and tore through the sky to kill the person who had shouted. Without a doubt, if no one intervened, that person would surely be splattered with blood on the spot. But Shen Kuan was the closest, and he could not tolerate a creature from the exotic region killing a cultivator from the 9 heavens and 10 earths. He threw a punch, clashing fiercely with the dragon's claw. The red-haired monster looked at Shen Kuan and sneered, "2 strands of true immortal energy and 1 strand of pseudo-immortal energy. You dare to show off in front of me? Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" Then he scanned the crowd and continued, "It's not that I'm boasting, but if you fight me one-on-one, I alone am enough to kill all of you." When the crowd heard this, they were uncontrollably furious. Of course, the most furious was Shen Kuan. As a peak celestial deity who had cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy, being publicly humiliated like this was utterly unbearable. The next moment, Shen Kuan struck with his palm, shooting a 5-colored light at the red-haired monster. However, the creature casually swung its battle spear and easily neutralized the attack. Seeing this, Shen Kuan quickly formed hand seals, unleashing his proud ancient heavenly palace technique, and once again attacked the red-haired monster. Instantly, the 2 figures engaged in a fierce battle. Divine runes intertwined and ancient scripts filled the air. But suddenly, huge golden lotuses appeared around the red-haired monster, enveloping him completely and forming a state impervious to all techniques. This sudden ability left Shen Kuan at a complete loss. Although he fought with all his might, he was still at a disadvantage. After a brief clash, Shen Kuan was ultimately defeated. His right arm was severed by the divine weapon in the red-haired monster's hand, and blood spurted dozens of feet high. Even as this happened, Shen Kuan tried to ensure mutual destruction, launching ancient scripts at the red-haired monster with his other hand. Unfortunately, they were all blocked by the enemy's golden lotus petals. This desperate move only put Shen Kuan in an even more deadly predicament. With a blood-curdling scream, he was instantly cut in half at the waist by the red-haired monster, falling into a pool of his own blood in a gruesome sight. However, the red-haired monster had no intention of letting Shen Kuan go. He once again swung his war halberd, about to split his head open. At the critical moment, Dugu Yun shot out a blinding ray of divine light, blocking the red-haired monster's battle spear. At this moment, the other experts who had cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy also charged forward to kill the red-haired monster. Now, no matter how arrogant the red-haired monster was, it didn't dare to be reckless. This wasn't just 1 or 2 young supremes. If they were to fight head-on, he would surely be defeated. So the red-haired monster didn't hesitate and quickly retreated to the stone gate, ready to escape into the world behind it at any moment. Then he looked at Dugu Yun and asked, "Have you decided? Will you accept my condition?" Hearing this, Dugu Yun nodded in agreement. As a result, the place was once again in an uproar, and everyone glared at Dugu Yun with hostile expressions. The red-haired monster laughed and pointed to the stone wall, saying, "Very good. Do you see that treasure vase carving on the wall? Inside it is a heavenly seed. As long as you can remove it, you can rescue the experts of my clan, and you can also get that heavenly seed that even the undying figures regret not having. But the world inside the treasure vase will require you to go in person." Dugu Yun asked with a calm expression, "What exactly do I need to do?" The red-haired monster replied, "It needs golden blood, and it would be best to have other safeguards." Then he glanced at Qingyi and continued, the one who can understand my ancient tongue, and has a mysterious immortal aura within her. That's you.
I need your blood.
Hearing this, everyone looked at each other in dismay and then turned towards Qingyi. They knew there was another formidable person present who was probably about to make a move. Sure enough, before Qingyi could even respond, Shihao strode forward and said, "I've long wanted to fight with the Imperial clan from the other shore." The red-haired monster heard this and angrily rebuked, "Fool. I want that woman.
Who do you think you are?
Get lost." Shihao responded calmly, "Naturally, the one who will slay you." The red-haired monster thought he had misheard. He theatrically cleaned out his ears, then swung his palm forcefully, slapping towards Shihao. Clearly, the red-haired monster was extremely conceited. After all, he had just cut Shen Kuan, who had cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy, in half. He believed the cultivators of the 9 heavens and 10 earths were pathetically weak and therefore did not take Shihao seriously at all. Please give us a like and subscribe, fellow Taoists. Let's continue our chat in the next episode.